Good morning, afternoon, and evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are back from our setup a little before record o'clock. My name is Zach Nolan.
Carter Nolan is in front of the camera.
Yeah. So, Carter, for episode 26 of the Nolan Hockey Podcast, I decided we could talk about something a little more interesting and something that we really didn't get the chance to cover while being on vacation. The free agency, and it's not exactly in its entirety, but our favorite pickups. There's a very few.
And I feel like we should mention just a few other ones too.
Well, yeah, no, like pick up, like we'll try to mention at least three, but like mention at least one that you can think of. That
Suitor.
Okay, mention it. Talk
Detroit Suitor deal. Here, can you pull it up exactly what the full deal was, just so that way I'm not messing anything up here. But because basically they signed him and they also signed Nedeljkovic, which I like.
But that's done already. That's a trade. But we're going to go through signings now.
Yeah, but 2 years, $3.25 million. I don't know why Chicago let him go. I don't get it. Doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know. I like the signing.
Yeah, no. Pius Suter signing makes perfect sense. Honestly, if you
Yzerman's making moves.
Give Yzerman an empty net, he'll hit it. Honestly, there's a couple signings. Obviously, the marquee signing here is Dougie Hamilton at 7 years at $9 million to the New Jersey Devils. I don't know how to feel about it. It's weird because I think New Jersey does give him that degree of anonymity. No offense, New Jersey, but they are not a primarily seen hockey town, so I think that's a very good thing there. But anyway, one of the signings that I actually want to point out here, and there's many others that I'll talk about, but a very underrated signing here, and is by the Toronto Maple Leafs. They signed Michael Bunting to 2 years at $950K. Michael Bunting was from the Arizona Coyotes. His first real season was last season, and he produced, I believe, like 8 goals, and that is no small feat. Like he just went off, honestly, in the last season, and it wasn't given. I don't understand why the Coyotes didn't look into re-signing him.
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense to me.
Funny. This is one I didn't even think of ahead of time. But you know what signing I also love? That Keith Yandle signing.
Keith Yandle deal is good. Keith Yandle,
very good.
Keith Yandle.
Who was it that signed him? I know it was like
Philly, I believe.
It was like what, $1 million?
No, it wasn't even a mil.
It was like a mil.
It was like let me see.
It was like $900K, wasn't it? Something like that.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it on this list, but I know it did happen.
And it was cheap.
It was cheap. I thought it was Philly for $900,000. Yes, 1 year at $900,000.
Now it's only 1 year, but
yes, but Keith Yandle and analytics go together pretty well, and to see Philadelphia able to keep bringing in more guys, it's very interesting. It feels like they're gearing up for an all-in push. I don't know where. Like, they could be top half of the division. They could be middle of the division. Of course, the dehumidifier turns on now. Yeah. Would you like to go turn that off momentarily? I'll keep talking to make it feel like there's not so much empty space. Another deal, of course. We already talked about it. I talked about it at length in a prior video. Go check that out. Matthew Perreault signing for 1 year at $950K. Jake Bean signing for 3 years at $2.33 million. Jake Bean was the guy that I thought Seattle would go after an expansion. I'm surprised they didn't. Morgan Geekie's not bad either, but I really think that he's a solid defenseman option. Yeah, it's just a solid pick. Now, we'll talk about worst signings we're not going to talk about worst signings here. We'll talk about that in another video. Maybe that we can make tomorrow or something like that, just to see if we're having trouble, just kind of make up space. Corey Perry, 2 years at $1 million. Now, this is interesting because the last few contracts Corey Perry has signed has been, and not even just the coincidence of him, like it's kind of played out already, but the coincidence of him going now to Tampa after all the things. But he's not signing 1 year anymore. He's signing it for 2 years at $1 million. That's a pay raise, I believe, a slight pay raise, but a pay raise nonetheless. And to be fair, the amount of money that guy has curtailed in the past, I think he's already set for this point. Like, I don't think he needs any more, and I think he knows that. So
I mean, in terms of players doing just fine, pretty much 1 year in the NHL will pretty much set you up.
Depending on what you make. I think some of the players... I'm not going to get into this tangent long, but I think some of the lifestyles aren't... It doesn't help. For example, the NBA is a lucrative...
Oh my God.
Is lucrative.
I saw some of the contracts
they give out makes me
soon.
sick to my stomach because it shows how much it doesn't matter it just matters what sport you play in comparison to things. It doesn't really matter about talent. And no offense, I understand that you need a very well degree of talent to play in the NBA. I will fight you to the death, though, that you need more talent to play in the NHL than the NBA. Just in comparison, skating in comparison to running is a harder task. You can pick up running easier than you can pick up skating. And that is just the fundamental.
And also in basketball, it's pretty well known you have to be a specific height to even have a chance.
Right. And people could then argue that it's harder to be in the NBA, but I would argue no, it just means that it is more... It is more defined who is in the NBA.
Yeah, it just means that it's an option for certain people and an option not for certain people.
But anyway, there's a couple signings that are interesting. Signings that I think kind of are going the middle term here. Like, I don't know if Mike Hoffman will turn out 3 years at $4.5 million. It's an interesting deal. 1 year at $4.5 for Getzlaf. We just move a holdover. I think there's always the safe contract. Like, no offense, but Brayden Point at $9.5 million is a safe contract. That's a safe contract. Like,
that might be the only deal where that's like $9 million.
No, I would have paid Brayden Point, like, I would have paid him $9 million. I would have, and that's even from a salary cap hesitant team. Now, the contract that I need to discuss is the contract of the guy who needed this extension badly. Carter Hagie, 3 years, $4.167 million. Who the hell is Carter Hagie? He is one of the best forwards on the Florida Panthers right now today by far.
He's great in Tampa too.
Amazing. Well, he was a fourth liner in Tampa. He didn't have a lot of room to make up the roster though. So then he was flipped to the Florida Panthers. Florida Panthers immediately made an impact there. He had an amazing season. He was part of the depth there. Now, the Sam Bennett deal makes me kind of go a little confused, but this deal for Carter Hagie should pay dividends, for sure. Now, there's a couple more. Derek Ryan, actually, underrated signing for the Edmonton Oilers. 2 years, $1.25 million. Derek Ryan's analytics are really strong. He was a solid middle six option, I believe, in Calgary. And honestly, like, this is kind of what the Oilers need, is just depth forwards. Now, the contract that I desperately want to talk about there, I know there's a lot, but we're not going to go too deep into it. We'll probably only go for a few more minutes. But the contract that I need to discuss is the Connor Garland contract, indeed, yes. And I know he was traded, but technically because he had to re-sign still, it still counts. So, screw you. 5 years, $4.95 million for a top sixer in Connor Garland. Connor Garland is a steal. I think Connor Garland is one of the most underrated forwards in the Pacific Division.
You know what I really like about that contract? The term.
The term is solid.
It's
honestly like, it's just a nice deal, honestly, because he works so hard
and knowing that he's gonna get even better and having that only like stuck at that cap hit and knowing that you're not gonna have to re-sign him and he would have gained value by then. That's good.
Right, like
that's really good.
Like for comparable contracts that were signed to that same amount of money, there's Tyson Barrie, and I would argue obviously he's a little better than Alec Martinez was slightly over. Tyson Barrie was slightly under. Those are defensemen, obviously, but forwards. Actually, the closest contract we can compare this to is Blake Coleman. Now, this one could give me flack. I love Blake Coleman. I really do. I think he's a tad better than Blake Coleman. I think it's really close, though, but I think also, too, Blake Coleman signed for 6 years, so that's harder to work with. Mm-hmm. Blake Coleman's contract I like, but I think the term could hurt it near the tail end, depending on how he's used.
In the last 2 years.
Yeah, physical forwards are very sometimes.
If a contract is hurting you in the last 2 years, that's not bad.
It's not the worst.
That's pretty common.
That's buyouts. But yeah, like...
It like the ones that are like really the worst are the ones that are hurting you for years, like a Ryan Suter contract.
Right.
That is hurting you for at least 4 years.
But Connor Garland, I think, will be easily making their top 6. Arguably top line if they know where to put their guys. Pavel Buchnevich gets a 4 years at $5.8 million. I don't know about that. I don't know. I like Buchnevich. I think that was only like a one. He had one good season and then he gets that. That's all I say about it. But we'll talk about those more in the future. Like Cale Makar, 8 years, $9 million. Yep. Or 6 years, $9 million. Yep.
Okay.
Make that fucking money. Make that fucking money. That is the best that is the highest paid defenseman, like the highest paid good contract that a defenseman has. All of the deals above it, I would argue, are bad. This is the highest good contract defenseman because Cale Makar is worth $9 million.
Yeah. There's not many defensemen that you can say are worth that much.
Any others, Carter? Or what wraps it up?
I don't know. You're the one that has them all pulled up in front of you.
Yeah, well.
Here. Do you want... what else is there? Do you want to talk about the Reeves one?
Nope, because in my opinion, it's not amazing.
How much did you sign for?
Like, he got an extension of 1.75 extension. I don't care for it.
It could be worse, but...
I don't care.
It's
neither here nor there. Last contract, I'll actually say, dark horse candidate here, Dmitry Kulikov, former Winnipeg Jets, signs for 2 years at $2.25 million with the Minnesota Wild. Dmitry Kulikov's analytics are actually really good. He's really good defensively as a shutdown defenseman. So I actually would say that's a very good contract.
It's not like some of the other Jets that have left and had not the greatest contracts.
Right.
You like that Perreault, though, one, right?
I do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that pretty much right? It pretty much sums it up, honestly. We just want to make a little short video here.
Now, one thing first. In just a few days, the Bombers, the Blue Bombers, are going to be starting up, and I'm going to be doing game reactions of that, hence why we have the Bomber pennant. So, check them out.
Also, check out our recent compilation for our series against Vancouver. Ottawa is coming out
on the way.
Be sure to check out some of our other more recent videos because they've been actually doing really well. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel because the channel is really growing and we really do appreciate that. We're on the road, hopefully, eventually to 1K, but right now we're just focusing small, 550.
Let's get to 550 first, bro.
We're moving closer and closer. Don't forget to leave a like as well. Comment down below some of your favorite contract signings this offseason because we would like to hear them and honestly just discuss them and hear your thoughts. What contracts do you think will turn out the best? What contracts may not? Let us know. Thanks for watching, and as always, we will see you next time.